Alrighty guys, we're going to pick up on page 100 with the anesthesia death rate. And the definition is the ratio of deaths caused by anesthetic agents to the number of anesthetics administered during a specified period of time, and that is reflected in your formula. So you've got total deaths caused by anesthetic agents multiplied by 100 over the total number of anesthetics administered. So your tip also reminds you that these are infrequent, and you should always check the decimal point. Again, we're looking for low rates, not high rates. This would indicate a high rate of error in a number of anesthetics administered if you came up with a really high death rate. So let's look at 6.8. You would not have the answer to this one in the back of the book. So using the information in the table below, calculate the anesthesia death rate for University Hospital for January through June, round to 2 decimal places. So you've got the University Hospital on the surgery service and a ton of information. But we know all we're looking for right now is the anesthesia death rate. So we're going to go pluck out the total deaths caused by anesthetic agents, which is 3. So 3 times 100 over the number of anesthetics administered, 2636, and our answer is 0.11. And it's just that simple. So hopefully you were able to do well on that one. 6.9, again, those answers would be in the back of the book, but it's asking you, using the information in the table below, compute individually the number of deaths due to the administration of general, regional, and local anesthesia, round to 2 decimal places. You've got University Hospital on the surgery service. Here's where the information starts. It tells you it's continued on the next page. We're going to flip over. And then you get down to your anesthesia information, which is going to be super important for you to calculate your formulas. So I have general written out here because you do have the answers to these in the back of the textbook. So for general anesthesia, we need the total number of deaths caused by anesthetic agents, 4 for general, multiplied by 100, over the total number of anesthetics administered for general anesthesia. That would be 1,072. And your answer is 0.37%. And you can check regional and local in the back of your book. Alrighty guys, so let's talk about maternal death rate. Maternal death rate has a lot of definitions that goes along with it. So we're going to read from the chapter for a minute. A maternal death is defined as the death of any woman from any cause related to or aggravated by pregnancy or its management, regardless of duration or site of pregnancy, but not from accidental or incidental causes. For example, accidental would be a motor vehicle accident, or a pregnant lady who falls down a flight of stairs and dies. Incidental would be a suicide or a homicide. Okay, so there are usually 2 differentiations between those deaths: direct and indirect. So direct is a death related to pregnancy. For example, a patient who died after a C-section because they nicked the uterine artery and they bled out or hemorrhaged. An indirect OB death is not directly due to OB causes, even though the effects of pregnancy are partially responsible. For example, indirect is diabetes. A pregnant woman can have complications of the diabetes that are aggravated by the pregnancy, but the cause of death is the diabetes and not the pregnancy. So when computing maternal death rates, hospitals want to be held accountable for only those direct deaths. So, and ones that occur during hospitalization, of course. Non-maternal deaths, those resulting from accidental or incidental, are not included, right? So remember, your hospital always wants the best death rate possible that accurately reflects what is actually going on in that facility. So to include maternal deaths that aren't related to something that may have happened during hospitalization unfairly inflates the rate. So you've got your formula for maternal death rate. Oops, I'm sorry. Over here on page 103. So it's the number of direct maternal deaths for a period over 100 over the number of OB, y'all, OB discharges, obstetrical discharges, including deaths for the period. So that's going to be super important that if you're given a total number of discharges that you actually have to go look for the OB discharges to be able to calculate this formula. Luckily for you, I believe in the chapter you're only given OB discharges, so that's super nice. On your homework, it might not be that easy. So let's take a look at 6.10. So 6.10 says, using the information in the table below, calculate community hospitals' maternal death rate for May. These are all direct maternal deaths, round to 2 decimal places. And that's important, right? Because we said it's the number of direct maternal deaths for a period multiplied by 100. So let's figure out excuse me, goodness, how we're going to set that up. So we have in 6.10 a lot of information. So we've got community hospitals, OB unit. The discharges do not include the deaths. We've got the number of delivered, aborted, undelivered prepartum, and undelivered postpartum. And our deaths are all those same categories again. All right, so we need the total number of direct maternal deaths. Our instructions said that these are all direct maternal deaths, so we're going to use every one of these. And you're going to see me write this out. So for all the deaths, we're going to use the 1 delivered plus the 2 aborted plus the 1 undelivered pre and the, and the 2 undelivered post. Hopefully you came up with that. Multiplied by 100 over, and our formula says number of OB discharges including deaths. That's a reminder for the period. So our discharges tell us they don't include the deaths. So we've got to add those back in there as well. So we're going to do the same thing on the bottom that we did on the top. So I'm going to take those 227 delivered, the 4 aborted discharges, undelivered pre, plus undelivered post. Okay? And then to that, we have to add the deaths because they're not included. And so we know from above there are 6 deaths. Right? These are our deaths. So this was 6 deaths, right? Alrighty, so you should have come up with 2.10% after all the calculations. 2.10%. Alright, for the sake of time, let's just skip right over to 6.12 and get a little more practice in because you have the answers to 6.11 in the back of your textbook. So exercise 6.12 says, using the annual statistics in the table below, calculate the maternal death rate and the abortion death rate for University Hospital. These are all direct maternal deaths, and deaths are included in the discharges, round to 2 decimal places. So we've got University Hospital on the OB service, discharges and deaths, same categories we were used to from the last exercise. Total number of deaths, and it wants us to calculate the maternal death rate. So for the maternal death rate, we need the total number of maternal deaths, direct maternal deaths. We are told here they're all direct maternal, so we're going to use all of our deaths. 3 delivered, plus 2 aborted, 1 pre, 1 post, multiplied by 100, over the total number of discharges including deaths. Deaths are already included in the discharges. They tell us that there too. So we're going to use the same categories. 1,032 delivered, plus 57 aborted, plus 92 pre, plus 85 post. Okay, so that's how we're setting that up. So hopefully you should have 700 over 1,266 for 0.55%. So that's maternal death rate. Okay, that's maternal death rate. Let me scoot this up, and we're going to talk about the abortion death rate. Did you see a formula for an abortion death rate in this chapter? No, you didn't. So this is where you would employ actual over potential. Okay, because remember we talked about that before, that you can take really kind of any of these categories and calculate the death rate using actual over potential. So we're going to use the abortion. We've got 2 deaths multiplied by 100 over the potential of we could have had 57. So we've got 2 actual over 57 potential. And that's going to give us 3.51% for the abortion death rate. So hopefully that helped. Seeing that. Alrighty. We're just going to keep on moving. So we've got newborn death rate. So far we've added the newborns back into our death rates. But calculating them separately is important as well. In 6.1, you are given a table of information that you are going to have to memorize. I would certainly hope you're not using your textbook on your exams, but I can't stop you. But you won't have this for your RHIT exam, so you would know that you would miss all of these if you were given the definition versus a number. So a newborn death is the death of a live-born infant in a hospital who dies later during the same admission. A neonatal, 27 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes from the moment of birth. Post, and those day categories, infant death, death of a live-born infant anytime from the moment of birth to the end of the first year. And then perinatal, all-inclusive term referring to stillborn infants and neonatal deaths. So if you see these different classifications, understanding that this wouldn't be included because it's a stillborn would be important. That's why you're given that breakdown. All right, so you've got a newborn death rate, also called the newborn mortality rate, at the top of page 107. Total number of newborn deaths for a period multiplied by 100 over the total number of discharges, including deaths. That's a reminder for the period. So let's just flip right on over. And we're going to look at 6.14, and we're going to calculate that one because it's not available in the back of your textbook. So we'll take a look. Using the information in the table below, calculate community hospitals' annual newborn death rate. In this exercise, deaths are included in the discharges, and they want you to round to 2 decimal places. So we know that these death rates are deaths to discharges. So we had 3 newborn deaths multiplied by 100 over 486 newborn discharges and deaths. They're combined, so we don't have to add anything back in. And your answer, you should get 0.62%. Number 2, using the information in the table below, calculate the newborn death rate for April at Community Hospital. In this exercise, the deaths are included in the discharges, and they want you to round to 2 decimal places. So Community Hospitals, newborn unit, births, discharges and deaths, and then your deaths. So again, it's deaths to discharges. So this is 1, this is 2. 2 deaths multiplied by 100 over 52. Total number of discharges for 3.85%. So number 3, ask for a population calculation. I will not ask you to calculate populations on the variances of 10,000, but it would be, the answer is 40 per 10,000 if you did work it out. And that brings us to fetal death rate, and we're going to stop the video here, and I will pick right back up with fetal death rate. Thanks.